metropolitan area network, or an MAN, a MAN, that is going to interconnect office locations within a metropolitan area, like a large city. And one of the advantages of a metropolitan area network over something like a WAN is that, yes, we're geographically dispersed, but because the offices are close enough, if they're serviced by a metropolitan area network service provider, they can connect at very high speeds into that service provider. It's almost always fiber optic based. Let's just imagine that we've got a service provider in Chicago, and we've got a business in Chicago that has 3 different locations. Let's imagine there's one at the airport. The Chicago O'Hare Airport has an airport code of ORD. The former Sears Tower, now the Willis Tower, we'll pretend that that's another one of our locations. And maybe the Navy Pier is yet another location. So we've got these different locations around Chicago, part of the same business. They want to interconnect at high speeds. What they can do is connect in to their metropolitan area network service provider, and it looks a lot like this. It's going to be a ring. We've got an interconnection logically in the form of a ring, and because it's fiber optics, we can have very high-speed connectivity in the gigabits per second between these offices. Really the same sorts of speeds that we could have in a local area network. Now this service provider, it's servicing hopefully more than just one business. There's lots of customers using this fiber optic ring. One way to keep one customer different from another customer, the way we tell the difference, is to use different wavelengths of light for the different customers. That's one way of doing it. That's an approach called DWDM, Dense Wavelength Division Multiplexing. Here's just a term for you that you might hear in some of the literature. It's called a lambda. It's written like this. A lambda represents a wavelength. And by giving different customers different wavelengths of light, that's how we can tell, or that's how the service provider can tell one customer's transmission from another customer's transmission. So to sum up some of the characteristics of a metropolitan area network, it has limited availability. You're not going to find it in every city, but if you have office locations that can tap into a service provider, you can get very high-speed connectivity between your offices. You can even have some redundancy. Notice that we could lose this part of the connection. This fiber could be broken, but we've still got full connectivity between our offices because we're connected in that ring fashion. So we've got high speed in a metropolitan area network. We've got some redundancy built in, and we can, or the service provider can, distinguish between different customer transmissions. One way of doing it, there are other technologies as well, but one way of doing it is called DWDM, where we give a different lambda, a different wavelength to each customer.